Welcome to What the Tech, the show that cuts right through the corporate hype. Today, we are taking a hard look at Google's latest AI announcements. They're trying to sell us a story about innovation and joy, but we're here to show you what's really going on.
So let's kick things off with this little gem from Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai. The official line? AI is making work fun again for developers. It's all about creativity and efficiency. I mean, it sounds amazing, right?
And to back it up, they've dropped this big, flashy number on us. A full quarter of all new code at Google is now being generated by AI. This is the headline they want you to see, the stat that screams, we're all in on this AI thing.
Now, to really sell this whole transformation, they're not just throwing numbers at us. Nope. They're crafting a whole narrative of a cultural revival. This isn't just about code, you see. It's about making Google feel like a nimble little startup again.
And they are pushing this narrative hard. Co-founder Sergey Brin is apparently back in the office, hanging out in a tea room, personally making coffee, and just, slashing through all that corporate red tape. It's pure myth-making, really. A story designed to make a nearly $4 trillion company feel like it's still in a garage.
So, let's just recap the official story. AI is making coding fun, a huge chunk of the work is already automated, and the cool founders are back to bring back that startup vibe. It's a perfect little package, isn't it? Innovation, happiness, productivity, the whole shebang.
Yeah, wrong. This isn't about joyful coding. It's a carefully crafted story for Wall Street and the media. The real story is about power, money, and propping up a frankly insane stock price.
And if you want the analysis that cuts straight through that corporate messaging to get to what's actually happening, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button for What the Tech right now. We're here to give you the story behind the story. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's deconstruct this thing. That 25% number, well, it's not quite the win they think it is. In fact, for any engineer watching this, that number should be setting off some serious alarm bells.
See, here's the thing. Good software engineering has never been about just writing more code. It's always been about writing smarter, more efficient, and often a lot less code. Bragging about generating 25% more code is kind of like a chef bragging about using 25% more salt. It doesn't mean the food's better, it just means it's bigger, and probably has a lot more problems.
And this brings up a massive problem: accountability. An AI doesn't get a bad performance review. It doesn't get fired when its code creates a critical security flaw. So who gets the blame? Well, it's going to fall squarely on the shoulders of the human engineers who are now responsible for code they never even wrote. I mean, just think about it for a second. How can any one person realistically review and truly own millions and millions of lines of AI-generated code? The short answer is, they can't. The whole process of code review just becomes a performance, a rubber-stamping exercise. This isn't really about making people more productive, it's about normalizing a future where our most important digital systems become a total black box, even to the people who are supposed to be building them.
All right, let's move on to the next piece of this PR puzzle. They've got a catchy new buzzword for us: vibe coding. And just like everything else, on the surface, it's sold as this amazing, empowering thing.
The big idea here is that anyone, whether you're in marketing or HR, can now just build their own apps and tools. You don't need to know how to code. You just describe what you want to in AI. You just use the vibes.
And this is where you really see the gap between the marketing spin and the actual reality. They say they're empowering people, but what it really looks like is deprofessionalizing the actual skill of software engineering. They say they're making development enjoyable, but really they're turning it into a generic commodity. It's creating a situation where people have responsibility for systems they have no real expertise in.
Which brings us to the real question, doesn't it? When Sundar Pichai says this makes development more enjoyable, you have to ask, enjoyable for whom? Is it enjoyable for the skilled engineers whose years of expertise are being boiled down to just writing prompts? Or is it enjoyable for the executives who see a future with fewer expensive developers and much, much cheaper output?
And look, if you really want to understand the true motivation behind all of this, the vibe coding, the founder making coffee story, you just have to do one simple thing: follow the money. Because this has very little to do with joy and absolutely everything to do with finance.
It's really no surprise that all these announcements are happening now. Alphabet stock has shot up nearly 70% this year, right as they're pushing their new AI models. This is not a coincidence, folks. This is a strategy.
We are talking about a company that is worth nearly $4 trillion. You don't get to numbers that big on good vibes alone.
You get there by telling Wall Street a story it really wants to hear.
So, here's the bottom line. A headline like 25% of our code is now written by AI, that's not a message for developers. That is a message for investors. It's a signal that Google is being aggressive on AI, that they're finding ways to cut future costs, and that they're moving at rocket speed to justify that mind-boggling valuation.
So when you strip away all the PR, all the buzzwords, and all the stock market talk, what is actually being built here? What does this future really look like?
First off, you gotta understand, this isn't just a Google thing. Microsoft is right there with them, claiming 30% of its code is from AI. This is an industry-wide race to normalize this. And by framing it as the new normal, they conveniently get to skip over the most important question of all: should we even be doing this in the first place?
Because here's the uncomfortable reality. We are rushing to lock our entire digital world into systems that are less transparent and way more fragile than what we have now. As more and more gets hidden behind prompts and opaque AI models, the number of people who actually understand how anything works shrinks, concentrating all that power into the hands of a tiny group of people inside a few giant companies.
And that leaves us with the only question that really matters. It's the one question that companies like Google really don't want you to ask. What would a sane, cautious, human-centered approach to using AI in software development actually look like? It's something to think about.